and thanks for tuning in. Today I wanted to do a informational video on the Desert Eagles, problems you can have with them, why not to completely take them too far apart, and the very basics of them. Well, let's get started and to talk a little history of the Desert Eagle. Originally, Desert Eagles were made in by Israeli munitions industries. There was the Mark 7 and the Mark 19. Both of those models looked a lot different than the one you see in front of you. The one you see in front of you is a 2015 stainless model. It has a bottom rail and a top. The Mark 7s, you could denote them by the top did not have a rail, it just had two slots in there. And the if you point this area here, it was flatter up here. It was like more like a pyramid. Also the parts like here when it was rounded, they were very sharp. And they did not make a stainless steel model. The Mark 19s, they were more smoothed out like this. You had a top rail. They didn't have a bottom rail. They did not have an integrated muzzle brake. This is new for 2015. Basically, there was no muzzle brake, and you could send it in and get an additional muzzle brake on there for about $300. So let's go ahead and show you it's empty, and then we'll start our informational video here. Okay, you see there's nothing in it. It's empty. So once again, this is the Mark 19, and this particular one is the 2015. It doesn't really matter which one you're working with, because they're all basically going to be the same as far as issues and problems you can have with them. While we're doing the video, a ton of fingerprints on it, so I'm going to try to clean it up the best I can for the video. But anyway, a lot of fingerprints. The first thing you're going to want to look on your magazine is, you notice this on your magazine on the back of it, it has a little lip. Okay, that's big enough to fit like a little screwdriver in there. See that? It is a free-floating magazine, which means when you put the magazine in, there's a little lip there it hits. See how far that falls out? And also, it's loose. I can see if you look up in here how that moves. Okay, that's free floating because and I'll show you when I take this apart, when you release the slide, okay, it's going to go down, and it's going to, there's rails on the inside of here that ride along there, because if you have this far up like this, I'm going to press that, it can get hit. See how it hesitated there for a minute? I'm going to push it down as hard as I can. It hesitated a little, okay? Because what happens, this is pushing up, and it can hit these rails in here. So it's supposed to be free dropping like this. If these is crushed and it doesn't engage, the magazine will all the way in, these will come up, and then when you try to bring your slide back, it'll stop. It won't even go back. That's a big issue. Now inside of here, you see there is a little nub here. And I'm going to move my slide releaser. See, when I press it down, it moves. Well, I have to do it when it's like this. See how it goes up and down there a little? Okay, what it does, when the magazine gets empty, this little, platform pushes up. When it pushes up, this locks it. Now, I'm going to take it apart to show you. Take down is pretty easy. There's a little button here you press on. Snap that down. Your gun will come apart. And this is the area I wanted to show you. Okay, right here. See these rails, slots right here? Well, those, when the magazine is in there, ride right along there. See how that is? So this goes forwards, drips off around, and this, now if these are out too far, you can see what'll happen. It'll hit, and you'll get some bindage there. But when you put your magazine in, okay, you'll see how this gets pushed up. See how that gets pushed up? That's getting pushed up because this little platform is pushing up on this nub. That's why I don't recommend people take apart these guns, especially in this part here. You can screw them up royally, because behind here there's a little spring that puts pressure on this, and internally inside here you'll see another spring right in the center, fits in that groove, that holds your slide release in nice and tight. If you start pulling this out, taking it apart, you should never have to take that apart. This is going to get a little loose. The spring will get worn out, and it can cause a whole bunch of shit problems. So you just don't want to touch that unless you're very familiar with these guns. I've taken it apart once, and then once it got taken apart, when I had some work done to it, but that's it. You can take apart this. Magazine release, not really needed. You can take apart that. I mean, the trigger housing, the assemblies, but if you take apart this part here where the trigger is, you don't want to take out this little spring because you can bend it. But basically, if you hit this in and you jam it and it won't come out, if it gets stuck in there, then you've got the problem down here. See where that fits? It should be free falling. It should come out really easy. Like I say, your slide goes back. As it goes forward, it loads this round. See, the round is going to be kind of in here, and then when it goes forward, this goes, and this little feed ramp here allows it to, this little feed ramp here, see it, allows it to feed right into your barrel like that. But big problem on that with these feed lips, and this here is the main problem with Desert Eagles. I had a lot of problems with them. Biggest thing is, like I say, it gets bound up on here. And another area here in your Desert Eagle, if you have ejection or extraction issues, is going to be right here. This is your extractor claw. Underneath here, there's a little polymer part in the bolt, and here's the ejector, has a spring. If those wear out for whatever reason, you're going to have to get them replaced. But that's pretty simple to take them apart. Recoil springs don't really have to be changed very often on these guns, unless when you get up to probably 1,000 rounds or something. If you shoot it a lot, if you're noticing any issues with it, you might want to replace them. But the stainless steel guns are great, and pretty much putting it back together. And the barrels from all of them are interchangeable on the Mark 19. So you can get an older Mark 19 and put it on this, or a newer one, as long as it's a Mark 19. Snap it up, you're pretty much good. But like I say, the most important thing on these magazines, and this is the biggest failure on Desert Eagles, is this little tab here. And I pulled this tab out myself a little. You can put any kind of straight edge, just pry it out a little, so it comes into contact. You can see there's a little mark there, and it hits that. That's your mag well. That's called a floating magazine. You can see how it's supposed to float out that much. So if you pull this back, it'll lock because it's pushing up on this, and you should be able to wiggle that. So I can wiggle that, and then when this goes forward, it should clear this, and it should run fine. But I wanted to show you that. That's some tips. Ammunition, really, you can use any ammunition in these Desert Eagles, as long as it's quality ammunition. Reloads, the only ones I probably recommend are Lodex. You can get them out of California. They make reloads, and pretty much everybody carries the Lodex. Or you can buy Send Them Brass, and they'll reload them. This is a Lodex reload right here that they reload it. Used by Spear Case, and it's a standard 300 grain bullet that's in a lot of different guns, even Hornady, not the Hornady, but this looks like a Spear bullet. They use the same thing that's dedicated to curl. The only difference you'd know here is it's got a brass primer. If it had a silver one, you'd never know if this was a Spear or not. And it isn't, it's a Lodex. But thanks a lot for tuning in, and that's a quick overview of my Desert Eagle and some of the tips.